Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality T times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing 90 Day OG episode 8. So let's just jump into it. So we start off with Edward and Marissa. So we see him fixing the fence. It's a gated fence, but he has now made it not possible to open the gate, which he doesn't think is a problem, but it's a fire hazard. You need to be able to have an exit. Anyways, but what if she says he wants to get out? But he's saying there's another way, so he shows her the other way. But it's like this patchwork type fix that he's done. He's put molding from inside the house on the fence. And she's just concerned about, like, well, what are the neighbors going to think? They'll think that she's broke and this and that. Like, it's for her, it's appearance, instead of validating him in this moment that he did something. And he's like, who cares when they're not the ones paying my bills? Fair enough. But she says she does care because, again, she cares about the outer appearance. And she says, and I pay your bills. We don't have to be feisty. Jesus Christ. Like, shit. But you're still validating what he just said by the fact of, well, they don't pay my bills, so why do I care what they think? She says, that's also quite messy. He's left a mess. And she just wants it cleaned up because she doesn't want people thinking this is the white trash house. Okay. So in the next scene, we are going to be heading to New York because she has to go work. It's going to be fun for him because he'll get to see, as she says, the skylight. The buildings. You mean skyline? You mean the skyline? Yeah. Okay. So obviously she will be working, which means he'll be kind of on his own to explore, be independent, and, be a tourist, as he said. And The problem is, though, she starts to like say to him, like, I'm gonna be at work. I'm not gonna be with you all the time. So do you have money to be able to buy things and buy food? And he's like, yeah, yeah, I got cash. It's fine. Okay, well, did you pack the cash? He's like, well, I need a wallet. He doesn't have a wallet, y'all. Which means that because he doesn't have a wallet, he forgot the money back at the house. So she's kind of like, um, what are you gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to think of these things ahead of time. And she brings up, like, don't you have like a credit card or like a debit card? Ma'am, seeing as he's from another country, even if he had a credit card, it may not be a credit card that's going to be accepted at most retailers in the States. Don't you need to get on a credit card if you want him to have a credit card? Anyways, she tells him that I don't want another child. She's again trying to, you don't want another child, that you're dating a younger man and then want to get mad at him that he thinks differently than you do. But again, he's also just his own person who didn't have to deal with the things that you're dealing with. Not everyone processes things in the same way. But it really does feel like she thinks he's an idiot. And my thing is, I'm like, do you think he's an idiot because he's not at like this hyper level that you want him to be at, like you are? Or is this about him being from a Caribbean country and you're thinking that because he's Caribbean or from a Caribbean country that he's an idiot? I don't know. Anyways, but she tells him this has been hard for her. We live different lives, she says. And he responds back with, well, it's fine, I'll help. Which again is just like his way of saying, like, you don't have to worry about every little fucking thing. However, she says, like, but it's the thing, like, I just need you to be self sufficient. You say things like, I'll help, but like, the thing that will obviously make like help is if he was self sufficient. He says, but you also live in two different cities and you take on a lot. And here's what he's trying to say. And he says as much later that you made a decision to live in two separate states, or yeah, live in two separate states so that you could work where you work while being a single mother. You didn't have to do those things, but you did. So you can't then get upset because you have a high stress lifestyle that you're now inserting someone who didn't have that same type of lifestyle. So he's not used to this high stressed lifestyle where you're always at a freaking 10 all the goddamn time. He's not used to that. But you chose this life in a sense. Now, obviously, things are decided for you throughout life and whatever, but you ultimately chose this life. It's a fact. But instead of letting him complete his thought and complete his sentence, she literally says to him, let me stop you there. It's like, I didn't choose to live like this. I didn't foresee divorcing Michael. Sure, you didn't. No one does. But you still chose this lifestyle. Let me finish now what she says. He's like, I didn't say that. I meant there's always going to be inconveniences. That's life. Very true. You need to learn how to deal with those inconveniences in life, not throw it at other people. But she just doesn't know if he will be an inconvenience to her life and if this is good for her. Okay. And again, it's like, I get it. The 90 days should be meant for these things and wondering if this will work really long term. But the way she's going about things, I hate it. Can't stand her. Anyways, that's it for Marissa and Edward, Catie and Josh. So he stands by not being friends with Brian because, again, we left off with the conversation between the three of them. And he still doesn't want to be friends with Brian. But Ryan apologizes for his actions and he says that he's willing to leave it in the past. I don't know if I fully trust Ryan, but we'll figure it out. So she says, "Well, can I make out with everyone I know?" No, no, you can't. But y'all, she don't give a fuck what you gotta say. She's still gonna be me, okay? She, we go back and she's trying to kiss everyone, including Ryan, of which they just had a conversation about the fact that Josh has issues. But luckily, to Ryan's credit, he stops it and doesn't, he doesn't let her kiss him. But Josh sees the whole thing going down and he's pissed and he ends up walking out, because of it. And Mark, who's one of her friends, goes off after him to go talk to him and try to level with him. And he admits, I look for reasons to excuse her because if I don't, I'm ultimately then going to say to myself, what the fuck did I do? Which honestly, I think you need to be questioning that because because I question, why are you doing this to yourself? But it isn't like this is a new thing that all of a sudden just started up. She's been doing this from the moment you've met her and then some, you know what I mean? And yet you still are in this with her. Why? But Mark says, listen, you can think all of those things, but it's also okay to be mad. Like, you should be mad and hold her ass with goddamn fire. I have that last part. Josh says, I struggle to know what is OCD and what isn't. Here's the thing. I don't know if it's OCD. I don't know enough about OCD. But the little knowledge I do have is, sure, you maybe could have obsessive thoughts about drinking and what and you drink to excess. I don't know. But I don't think that's what's going on here. Do I think she has OCD? Yes, I do. Do I think there could be something else going on here? Yes, I do. But I think this is a girl who has OCD and maybe other things and has alcohol or who is an alcoholic. That's what I think is going on here and who also deals with, you know, not wanting to be rejected and acts accordingly. Well, nothing like I've ever seen before, but you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on with her. Um, but they go back in and isn't she just all over Mark now? And of course he's trying to stop her from kissing him. But what I find really disgusting about this, and this will be discussed a little bit more in the next episode, is she gets so drunk to these points where she's just kissing everybody. But does she's too far gone that she's not going to respect people's boundaries because she literally will not take no for an answer. There's people literally having to push her head away from them so that she won't kiss them. And her behavior is disgusting, is what I want to, the only thing I can say. And she's forcing herself on them. Like, she is literally not respecting a boundary. You've been told no, and yet you're still pushing yourself onto them. And sure, I could blame it on the alcohol and the fact that she's not with us right now. She's, as the Jersey Shore crew would say, is abducted. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all very gross. But that's basically it for Catie and Josh. Let's move on to Mallorie and Rasit. So they fight daily about being clean because he's a little more clean than she is. He says in Islamic culture, you clean all day, every day. But now we're going to be shopping for something he very much wants in his life again, a bidet. So she's eating a breakfast sandwich in the car, and he takes a bite. And she starts laughing and says, you can't eat that. And what is it? The pork? and he spits it out, spitting out the window because he can't eat the pork. So she's about to pass where the accident had happened, and he says that he wants to see it. He wants to see what happened. In his words, he says he wants to understand. And I don't know, did we know that the friend who was also in the accident was Mac Kayla? I don't know if we knew that, but yeah, the friend who had her son in the car as well. And I think her mother was Mac Kayla. Brigitte couldn't be there because they were together, but he couldn't be there obviously in person when she was in the hospital. And he felt helpless, which I get it. She tends to avoid where the accident happened because obviously that could bring back horrific memories. And she says like this is actually her first time going back. And he said that he thought if she didn't make it, he didn't want to marry another woman. That would have been it for him. He would have been like, I'm good. So we are just driving. Can we open music? He asks. And she says no. But he does anyway. Starts dancing. He's twerking. They're going day shopping, as mentioned before, but it just depends on money is her big thing. Like if it's overly expensive, he ain't getting it. And my lord, everything is fancy. One of them, the seat's heated. There's rear and front wash. Obviously, the front wash is for the women and their bits. There is also a pulsating app option, which is like, why would anyone want that? Unless, but that particular bidet is $1,100. That's obviously outside of the budget. So let's move on to one that's around $800. It also has pulsating like features. He's like, I don't want to get horny or anything, but there is actually one that he can test out in the showroom. So he goes and he does that. He's like, my asshole's hot, baby. The toilet does everything, he says, but it is expensive. And she says, sorry, but your asshole is just not that special. Like, I'm not spending $800 at minimum to buy a bidet. Yeah, so the toilet does everything that he says, but it is expensive. And she says, I'm sorry, but your asshole is not that special. So she's not spending $800 on a bidet. But he says, yes, it is. No, you want it. It's not a necessity. But you have accident money. You're rich, he says. And she says, no, I'm not rich. She explains that she did get a payout from the insurance company. It was actually her accident benefits carrier who paid out that. But it's like it doesn't exist for her. She doesn't get to touch it. And she put it into a brokerage account that she doesn't have access to easily. But he says, so I'm not special? No, you're not listening. And he's like, I left my country, blah, 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 the same bullshit. But yeah, that's basically it for the two of them. Hi everyone, I got something new for you. Zoe Jewelry. Now, Zoe Jewelry is a Calgary-based, women-owned brand dedicated to creating unique, high-quality jewelry and eco-friendly hair accessories that reflect your individuality and style. The name Zoe is deeply meaningful to the brand. It's named after their beloved dog, whose joyful spirit continues to inspire their designs. Each piece is thoughtfully crafted to stand the test of time, blending contemporary elegance with everyday wearability. You can explore their products over at zoejewelry.ca. There you can get earrings, necklaces, rings, bracelets, even hair claw clips. You can head on over to the website with our code that is going to not only support them but support us. You can head on over to zoejewelry.ca/reality and go shop their stuff. Okay, so Aisha and Maxwell. So she has to basically tell him what to wear. Okay. She has to approve what he's going to wear. The suit he apparently wore when they first met, she didn't like it. Down to the goddamn shoes. And they show us the suit. There's nothing wrong with what he wore. If anything, and he says it, it's cultural. But yeah, she had a problem with it. I saw nothing wrong with what he wore. He wore like a blue. It was very bright blue, but you're in a warmer climate where sometimes the colors are going to be a little bit more on, I wouldn't even say what he wore was really like a pastel color, but a little more on that side of things. But again, I thought he looked good in it. The shoes, I saw nothing wrong with the shoes. He looked fine. This bitch has a problem. Um, she feels like he should have backed her up on the whole procedure situation. Maybe the reason he ain't gonna back you up on it is because he actually really doesn't want to do it. This woman, I'm sorry, does not need to procreate. She doesn't need to procreate because she is always going to put on her children what she thinks that they should be doing. She's going to be a goddamn fucking nightmare to her children. And the fact that how she is so hyper focused on how you look when she got not a leg to stand on, but she's so hyper focused on how people look. She's going to obviously put that onto her kids. And kids are most likely going to develop either um, esteem issues at the best freaking scenario, or they could have eating disorders or body dysmorphia. They are going to be fucked up because of her. This woman does not need to procreate. But anyways, he tells her, when you go downstairs, please say like, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Don't. I think his biggest thing is that she doesn't go down there and say like, hey, which is what she will do. But she goes down there and she says, hey, ma, hey, dad. Not what he told her to do. And he literally says in front of everyone, correct yourself, please. I just told you. So she does say, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. We'll get more into that. Well, actually, I don't know if she says it when they leave, but I'll say it here. She does say, like, I've met them before. I've referred to them as mom and dad before. Why not all of a sudden do I have to call them sir and ma'am? Question. Because I do wonder if we're playing up to the cameras right now. A little bit. And to some degree, I would say maybe the parents, I would say maybe Maxwell, I would say them. I think they are the ones that are trying to put their best culture foot forward. That's kind of what it feels like a little bit from their end. Um, I actually feel, if you want to say authenticity, but I feel a little bit more authenticity from Aisha, from her mother, even from his sister. So I don't know what's going on there, but to play devil's advocate, he could be trying to, implement the cultural norms to her now because they are discussing marriage. Um, maybe, I don't know. Um, but I do kind of think from her perspective, you should have told her that from the beginning. You should have told her that from the beginning. Why now are you changing everything up? Honestly, I think it's the cameras, like I said, but they are out on the road and it's hot, but she says to him, well, your mom was so mean at me. Okay, you don't have to whine about it. And she says, like, you didn't see how, she was looking at me. And he says, I told you how to greet them and you still call them mom and dad. And she says, okay, here's what she says. I've met them before and I always call them mom and dad. She says, am I dating them or you? And he says both. And then she says, no, that's not biblical. Okay, here's the thing. I think he answered the wrong question. Are you dating both of them? No, you're not. You're dating her. Um, Getting to know her. But when you marry someone, you are also marrying the families, right? I do agree. I do believe that and agree with that part, but I don't think you're dating both. No, no, no. As for her comment about how that is not biblical, bitch, if you don't shut the fuck up. Like, you are taking that goddamn literally and you're a fucking idiot. Let's move on. If you were in the US, you wouldn't be thinking about them, correct? Well, why would he not be thinking about them? Like, why would he not be thinking about them? Of course, he's going to think about them and think about his culture. His culture is his culture. Um, do I think he would have probably been a little more laid back about it? Sure. But there are things that are going to come into from his culture, like, I don't know. It gives me an air. Sorry, I'm going to say it. It gives me not quite the same, but it gives me that air of Angela and Michael. Not in the full sense, but in the sense that I feel like she's picked a Nigerian from Nigeria so that she can control them. And unfortunately, I think Michael was very controllable. I also think that probably was because he was scared. But I don't know if Maxwell is going to have that same experience. Of course not. He's not going to be scared of her. He's going to be like, I'm the man and you're going to listen to me. And that's not going to work for her because she's a fucking narcissist. It has to be about her. This isn't going to work. Anyways, but he says, but you're here. And that's the thing. If he was there, maybe he would adapt a bit more. But when you come here, which you're still going to come visit, I'm sure you're going to go visit, you have to adapt to your surroundings. That is where you are right now. You're not in the States. Um, he says, do you think God wants us to be together? Oh, abort, abort, abort. And she says, say what now? And she says, shame on you. You're letting other people make the decision for you. I thought you made the decisions. What? So wait, he he's not making a decision. He's asking a question. But if he were to make a decision to end this relationship, that's him making a decision based on others. Why can't it be a decision based on him? Why can't he make that decision? Oh, it's because as long as he is making the opposite decision of her, he is no longer listening to himself. This boy needs to run from her. She's cuckoo magoo. He says, but this is the culture. She says, I am disappointed. Him questioning the relationship is like him questioning God. Because say it with me, the relationship is God ordained. Okay. Now, he tells her when they get to this market, to behave yourself, which is kind of gross. Don't fucking talk to me like that. I would punch him 1-2s in the face. Don't talk to me that way. But I don't care because I hate her. She says, you better stop using that word because behave. I'm not a child. Which I hear. I agree with her. I just don't like her. So it is what it is. So we're shopping in the market and he doesn't like it because it's hot. He's fanning himself and she thinks that he's fanning her actually. She's like, oh honey, you're fanning me so strong right now. No, he's fanning himself. He don't give a shit about you. You got a fan, girl. He's bargaining for like a dress that she likes. And she's like, I like that he does that for me. It's like literally the norm. That's bargaining is literally the norm. It's not a special thing that he's doing for you. That's literally how they do things. Don't you watch TLC? Anyways, meanwhile, the parents are going to go talk. And his mom brought up the whole procedures with the eyes and everything. And her mom's like, she just wants her skin smoother, that's all. How does the skin have anything to do with the eyeballs? Mama, if you don't
This mom, I'm sorry, she's fun to watch in certain situations, but when she is enabling her child, I can't with it. She's, I can't. Then she lets out that Asia is 38 years old. Now, if we remember, Maxwell is 10 years younger than her. His parents did not know that she is 38 years old. To them, 38 is ancient. And his dad has the nerve to speak about women's anatomy by saying, well, menopause is knocking on the door. So that is the second time, sir, that you have said some fuck shit about women. If you don't shut up, because you know what I know? Your testosterone is plummeting down. How do you like it, asshole? Anyways, that's them. Shea and Annabelle. We are going to go grocery shopping, and we're meeting Allison while we're there. She's making him smoothies, and he's liking the smoothies. He's like, "Oh, lose weight in no time." He's saying that he's feeling better and all that, and he feels like now he's losing weight. And she's like, "It's only been 2 weeks. You can lose weight in 2 weeks. You could be losing a pound or so. You know what I mean? Or less than that. Like, you could be losing weight. But at the end of the day, it's all mind over matter sometimes. I mean, not in his case, but initially, though, when you're starting to lose weight, it's all mind over matter. Because if you start to feel good, it's all going to happen. You know? He's on the right track. Anyways, he says it seems that Allison and Annabelle's relationship has improved, while his relationship with his daughter has suffered a bit, and she does not like being a second fiddle. Yeah. Annabelle is going to get ingredients for chicken adobo. And Allison, she loves chicken adobo. And she's like, "You're going to be inviting me, right, to the chicken adobo dinner?" And Annabelle's like, yeah. No, I think she actually was, yes, we're going to invite you. But then Allison brings up what Annabelle mentioned at the nail salon about um when Nicole said about, what was it him again? That girl. Um, See, the thing is Allison shows concern, right? Which I do think there is some concern there, but what she's really being is a little sneaky. Because then she asks, "Have you talked to Nicole about her stuff out of the shed?" She is just adding fuel to the goddamn fire. What I do love, though, is that she's going after her father, not Annabelle, because that was a direct hit to her dad. I like it. I like it. So he's like, "Nope." And Annabelle did not know that Nicole's stuff is in the shed. And apparently, the story goes Nicole was moving and she just needed a storage unit. And instead of her just going and buying said storage unit, he said, "Here's one of my properties. It's fine." But he thought, it would be long gone by the time Annabelle got there, and it wasn't. Annabelle wants the stuff out, so he sends her a text to say, time to get your stuff out. To the camera, Allison, is like, "My dad told me our relationship wouldn't change, and that we would still do all of the things that we don't really do. And I have to run into him in the grocery store." So I like poking fun at them and starting arguments because he's not being trustworthy and she's not asking the questions. Fair enough. But he says, "Oh, she didn't have people to help her." I think that's what he said about Nicole. "Oh, she doesn't have a trap. Not your problem." And I agree, it's not his problem. Let her deal with it. Annabelle asks, "You still love her then?" And he says, "No." Outside, he says to Allison, like, "Why you always do that?" "Because you don't tell her." And like, "But it's hard on me." Grow fucking balls and be honest. I hate him. Honestly, there's not a single American who I like. No, not a single one of them. They all suck. Anyways, Allison seemed a little bit upset, huh? And Annabelle says, "I should be upset. I want to see what is in the shed." So they go do that. And he doesn't actually know like what is in there, but she says, call her right now and tell her to get it out. And she's willing to move on, but only if it's gone. She almost broke up with him over Nicole, which I think we knew about, thinking something is going on, and now there's this. So he goes to call her and tells her, I want you to get this stuff out of there. But she basically tells him to sell the couch so that she can come pick up the money, or Annabelle asks if she can come pick up the money. And he's like, no, no, I'll just cash app it to her. If she's not going to come and get it, then put it in the goddamn dump. Fair. So when he walks away, she walks over to Allison's because she's the only one that is telling her the truth, which is fair enough. She is, even if it is a little vindictive. So she says, me and him were arguing about the stuff, and it just feels like he won't let her go. And Allison says they have been hanging out um, with her, I guess, this whole time. And she goes on the boat with him and he invites her to the bar and he'll take pictures in such a way where he's going to send it to Annabelle. Take them in such a way where Nicole is not in the picture and send it to Annabelle. We knew about this. Nicole hinted at it in the beginning. And she's like, listen, Allison doesn't like Annabelle. Um, or doesn't like Annabelle's taking her dad away from her words, but she deserves to know, which is, again, very true. She goes further and says he will slap her on the butt, and I have heard him tell her that he still loves her and that he always will. I got triggered because I've experienced that myself. Um, and it's angering. It's angering. Anyways, that's Shea and Annabelle. Let's move on to Thomas and Paula. I really don't care about this freaking storyline. I like her, don't get me wrong, to an extent, but I hate this storyline. What is your first memory when you look at this tiny fork? She asks him. He responds back with, bad investment. Well, when she sees it, she sometimes cries because she's manifesting so much. What? That doesn't make any sense. It's coming true because I am paying the bill, he says. So she has been buying her minis and she got the credit card. Don't you shouldn't have gotten her a credit card. He says, let's return the tiny couch and buy a real one. That's my deal. So that's basically that part. She goes to her neighbors. One of them is also Brazilian. She met them from before. And their apartment is gorgeous in comparison to theirs. The names are Felix and Anderson. And she likes the furniture. It's quite nice. And she tells them, like, we have no couch. Our table is a camping table, and the chairs are yoga blocks. She was married before. I don't know if we knew this before. It was many years ago, and she knows from that what she wants and what she doesn't. She doesn't want to live like a refugee inside her own apartment. That's one thing she doesn't want. If things don't change one day, she will just fuck off and go back to Brazil. My words. But that's literally pretty much what she said. Which I think she should. What the hell? She seems to have a nice apartment. She makes money. Let's go home. Why are we here? We are then rollerblading and skateboarding in the park. And she appreciates what he has done for her, but she doesn't like the little closet. She likes her little things, little minis, but she doesn't want a little closet. Um, so what does he say? Well, you have 5 closets in Brazil and they were all full. When he was there, he got only 5 hangers. What is your point? That goes to show, yeah, she needs a little bit more space, actually. Secondly, you are a guest. You're only going to be there for a limited amount of time. She's supposed to be moving in with you permanently for the rest of your lives. What is your point? And she says as much. Stop. Like, you're manipulating me. And she's just ready to go back to Brazil at this point. And she isn't going to take this shit no more. She wants to be done with this. Anyways, that's the end of them. And that's the end of the episode. we will be back with another one very soon. But that is it for me. And that is it for this episode.
If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for this, for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can like, follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T ×2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality ×2 Pod. I believe you can email me at realityt2@hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality T ×2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality T ×2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.